And welcome back to the show, everybody. The Old Gap Box podcast and radio show brought to you by our friends at Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. Pete Dye, the late great golf course architect, designed 4 courses at Casa, and Teeth of the Dog is the best. It reopens in December in just a few weeks. Jerry Pate has been doing the redo since January. Jerry's excited. I'm excited to be down there in December. Check it out, casadecampo.com. It is the best golf resort in the Caribbean, and I'm telling you, it's a great family vacation spot as well. All right, our next guest plays a lot of golf. That's not why we have Stephen Bunn on the show today, but he does play a lot of golf. Stephen, I think you play more golf than PGA Tour pros, right?
No, I looked up the stats. It's way less.
It's way Hey, for our audience, Stephen Bunn is a dear friend of mine for more than a decade now, a longtime chaplain on the PGA Tour, and for even longer, has been involved with the College Golf Fellowship. He's the vice president. Brad Payne, who I've had the opportunity to meet, is the president. This very unique organization that gets college golfers, kind of gives them a platform to do a lot of things, grow their faith as they embark on what they hope is a PGA Tour career. Stephen, I'm explaining it, but you can do better. Tell our audience about the College Golf Fellowship.
So College Golf Fellowship has been around for quite a while. It birthed out of the PGA Tour Bible study dreams some guys had back in the early 80s, just to help connect the bridge between college golf and professional golf. I personally have been with CGF, as we affectionately call it, for the past 28 years. And
Wow.
Our MO is just to come alongside college golf coaches and teams, present them with the great news of the gospel, and to come alongside them in a very pivotal season of their life, pour into them, and ultimately see these guys living lives that are not necessarily dependent on us, but rather through their relationship and their faith in God, that they would just become fully devoted followers of Him, and living their lives serving out in their communities. And with, I don't know what the percentages would be, on a small exception, guys that continue on in their faith journey. And that's where it's been really neat for the last 15 years to come out and serve alongside the guys on the PGA Tour, just because we usually have a relationship with them from the time they get to college golf all the way through professional golf. And it's been just an incredible ride for me for 28 years.
It is incredible. You introduced me to this many, many years ago, probably 17 years ago at the Canadian Open. You invited me to a Bible study, and I came, and I was like, wow. I was amazed at all the people that were there, not just players, but wives, caddies. I just think it's so unique what you guys have done, and it's very underpublicized, Stephen. But I think the people that are involved, they know how important it is, and it is growing the way you want it to, right?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, I'm glad that it's not publicized. Is kind of a kind of a goal of ours. But we call it the traveling circus. There's a lot of people involved, whether it be caddies, players, wives, announcers, anybody that's part of that traveling circus. We love to come, but obviously we spend a lot of time in relational ministry with the guys, both the caddies and the players, and it's been really fruitful. It's life doesn't stop just because you're out at a tournament. Life continues on, and as we all know from our own experiences, we live in a broken world, and a broken world is comprised of broken people like myself, and so just navigating it through that and understanding and showing them what an authentic relationship with the Lord looks like is one of our great aims, if you will.
Well, and the list of players on the PGA Tour, I mean, you got these guys and introduced them to this organization back in college, but I mean, you're talking about Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 player in the world, who was at the University of Texas. Ted Scott, his famous caddy who does the Sunday sermon on Instagram, which is great. Of course, Sam Burns, Davis Love III, who I think the world of, Jonathan Bird, Webb Simpson, Zach Johnson. We're talking about major champions here. Russell Henley, who was on the Ryder Cup team a few weeks ago, JT Poston. I mean, the list goes on, Stephen. And it's not just the names, right? It's not just the major champions. It's all the guys. But you have to be very pleased when you introduce it to these guys in college, and now here they are. They've had great careers. They have families that are growing. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? That's why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you this, for me personally, there's no distinction. I have a hard time making any distinction. Your world ranking means absolutely nothing to me. I mean, it means something to me that it's great for you. But it means nothing to me. I'm as excited to sit down and talk about these things with my neighbor in my cul-de-sac as I am the number one player in the world. I'm passionate about it, love doing it, but where God has me is very uniquely within this avenue of the PGA Tour, and the relationships that I have been blessed to build over the years are just invaluable. And you mentioned a guy like Zach Johnson and Jonathan Bird and Davis Love and Stuart Sink, these guys, and even Lee Jansen, who I don't get to see as much now, but Jay Bird and Zach and Stuart and Davis, those have been my boys for a long, long time. And it's as much about the food and going out to eat.
Right.
No, no, seriously, just to watch them grow in their faith, and also they sharpen me. I grow in mine because of my relationship with them, and so it's a lot more than just the Bible study that we do on Tuesday nights, a very informal Bible study that we call the Tour Fellowship. It's just about doing life together. I just hopefully just got a positive text from Kevin Strillman. I just was trying to ask him what he had going on for dinner tonight as I'm over at the RSM and trying to get a little dinner plan together for tonight. So it's just about doing life, and we're all sharpening one another.
And one more question about the organization, because I just think it's the neatest thing. And as you kind of delve into it, I mean, you came up with this plan to go after, obviously you guys love the game of golf. You're going after college golfers. And I guess when you approach them, Stephen, not everybody is open. I mean, you just kind of say, hey, here we are. We'd love you to come. We'd love to talk. It's an opportunity for you to ask us questions, vice versa. I mean, I guess that's how it all gets started. But I guess at first, not everybody wants to get involved, right?
No, that's exactly right. And probably I think one of the core attributes of how we approach just ministry in general is, my desire would be to build a relationship with someone, and then you earn the right to kind of speak into their life, or to be there for them when they're kicking the tires of what their philosophies are going to be in life, and as they're searching. I'm very confident, and I don't want to get overly theological, but I am so confident that God has entrusted us with the good news of how to have a relationship with Him, but He holds the keys to their heart, not me. And so I'm not there to beat them over the head, to convince them. I just want to put it in front of them, build a relationship, come alongside them, and let God do His thing. And I get to play a part in being there and presenting them what I would call the way.
Hmm. I love that. I really do. And it is, again, these are long-standing relationships. When you talk about a guy like Stuart Sink, who, by the way, became the fourth player to win the Charles Schwab Cup Championship and the Charles Schwab Cup. He had a great year on PGA Tour champions. Stuart's been around a long time.
I sent he and Lisa a text last night. I think I just said a few words. I said party at the Sink House. So fired up for Stuart. He has really worked hard, and he was very motivated all fall, and just excited. He and Crispy, his caddy, have been working well together, and I know that they were fired up.
Yeah, no, I think the world of Stuart Sink, and he still hits it a long way. That's a big advantage that he has with those guys
Yeah,
out
he
there.
does. He hits it hard.
Hits it hard. All right, I want to get your thoughts on this too, as we kind of segue from College Golf Fellowship to what's happening in sports today. And this is why I wanted to get you on, because from the beginning of the season, well, really it goes back to last year, Stephen, when Ohio State wins the national championship, but throughout the season, about 75% of the players on Ohio State's football team got baptized on campus. And I'm not saying that had anything to do with them winning the national championship, but it did certainly bring the team together. And then as we move into this season, time and time again, after a big win, for example, Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback at Indiana, when he threw that spectacular touchdown in the back of the end zone against Penn State a couple of weeks ago, he gets interviewed on the field moments afterwards, and he says, listen, before I talk about football, I want to talk about my relationship with Jesus Christ. More and more players are doing this, Stephen. I mean, do you feel this wave of positivity as much as I do? Because I see it each and every week watching games on television.
I do, and I'm very encouraged by it, and it's pretty exciting. If you don't mind, I'd love to give you what I think is a little historical context of
Please.
why I think we're seeing that. One of the things that's unique about Christianity is that there is no center of Christianity. There is no Mecca. It ebbs and it flows. I mean, if you think about over time, in fact, here recently I did a Bible study. I do a Friday morning study back home, which you're involved
Yes,
with.
yes.
And I went through some historical understanding of the letter of Philippians. And when we look at it, you look and you trace it back to the very first convert to hear about the gospel in Europe. And then person by person, person by person, generation by generation, you go through Europe now, and everywhere you go, you see the effects of the good news of the gospel, of transformation in people's lives. And it was not about a fairy tale, or it wasn't just the fact that they heard about the resurrection of Jesus. It's the fact that somehow people's lives were actually changing by no effort on their own. And I look back in the rearview mirror of my life and I realize I am not good enough to even be in the position that I am now. Something has been working outside of me, and I know what that is. It's the person of Jesus. And as it spread through Europe, if you think about it, if you've ever traveled there, you can't go anywhere and not see a church on a hillside, a church on a corner in a busy urban area. And then it jumps an ocean and it moves. And then there was a great awakening. Go back in your history books and read about it in America. And then we have seen that take place all over the world. And it's like it, in a sense, it's like if you were to use the analogy of a fire, it just burns through and moves. And I sense that where we are in culture, the world is so united through technology. Your algorithms, on your social media platforms, or
Hmm.
depending on what you
Yes.
like to view, are constantly sending messages to you. And I think we're more insecure than ever as a society, as we have so much to compare ourselves to, or so much fear is just stoked up all the time. And so it doesn't surprise me that what we're seeing is just at the right time and place in history where we're as insecure and as broken as it feels like that you could possibly be, which, by the way, isn't new, but
Hmm.
yet we are so much more connected and aware of all the brokenness. It doesn't surprise me to see the Spirit of God doing His very thing, and He is continuing to ebb and flow and move. And just at the time you think, man, how bad can the world get? You see an outpouring of people's lives being changed, and it's not people pursuing morality. It's not. I hope, at least like in my own life, I can only give account to me. I don't ever want to have what I call the stench of Christian body odor, of self-righteousness, but just that I am amazed and grateful that God's grace and mercy has been given to me. And so therefore, because of that, I can sit to the person next to me and not think that I have moral leverage over them, that I can genuinely love, accept them, and allow God's Spirit to do His thing, because it's He that changes. It's not me that can change me. I don't have enough willpower to do it. And so then I see this and I'm encouraged by it, but I'm not surprised by it, because if we look back through all the annals of time, there are great movements that take place. And like you look at Europe today, and maybe it's not exactly where you would go to say the hotbed of God's working in the gospel, because a lot of those churches are kind of dead today, if you will, but there's still those people there. And I think that it will ebb and flow and come back around as God does His thing. And so I'm so encouraged by it. And in spite of all the chaos that we see in the world, the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ is still on the move, and it is offered to everyone in spite of ourselves. The whole standard of sitting there and trying to make myself better is an impossibility, because we're all imperfect. And so the whole message of the Bible is that God came in flesh for the people that He loved, in order to live the life that we never could, to take on the penalty, the death sentence of our own imperfections, and to give us a new life in Him. And so does that surprise me? Not at all. But am I loving it? I am loving it, especially watching all this. It's amazing how much you can just see the marks of it around, and as you said, college football. And I would tell you that that's going on in college golf as well. They just don't get the viewership.
Absolutely. And well said on all fronts. It's interesting. People say, come on, Doug, it's just college football. I'm like, 100,000 people are in that stadium, 7, 8, 10 million people watch a football game. And when they see a young guy like Jeremy Bernard, the star wide receiver at Alabama, kneel on the field before the game by himself at the goalpost, eyeballs are on him. Young eyeballs are on him. And I just think that's significant, Stephen. A little leads to a lot. I think in regards to something like that.
Yeah, and that's the power, if you will, of how, for whatever reason, in God's wisdom, his plan of redemption was people. If you think about that as a model, you're thinking, man, I don't want people looking at me. There's got to be a better way than using people like me. But yet that is the plan. And the power of one person being able to make a difference, to make an impact. I go back to those very first converts in Europe around probably sometime around 42 to 45 AD. And within 10 years, there was no technology, there was no information highway, there were just the Roman highways. And way up north from the epicenter of the resurrection, person by person passes it on. And it's not just, Jeremy Bernard has had to your point, to see a young man like that or a quarterback of a big school and the impact that they can have. But don't lose sight of the fact that your viewers, if this is something that they know and they have a relationship with Jesus, that they can be a part of that revolution that took over Europe so many years ago that now impacted America for years and years and years. It all started in the power of one person passing it on to someone else. And so if you don't have a platform like Jeremy Bernard, you may have a foursome you play with. And it's just as simple as saying, look, I'm not better than you. I can't explain it to you other than, like the old hymn says, I was blind and now I see.
Yeah, no, I mean, things are happening. I see it visually, I feel it. And, I hearken back to the days of Tim Tebow, the great Tim Tebow, who wore the eye black 316 under his eyes. Couldn't do it in the NFL. They wouldn't allow that sort of thing. But it was an amazing thing that he did when he was at the University of Florida. And then, boy, Stephen, he really, a lot of negativity tried to beat him down, tried to beat him back. But to this day, he's still a presence. So I think that's interesting. I think it comes full circle. I think we had Tim Tebow and many years before that, but now it's circled back to where we are today and what we've been talking about. I love it. I love when things go. And you obviously there's hurdles, there's speed bumps, there's potholes, but here we are. I think we're feeling a lot of positivity with all the things going on in the world. I think college sports, college golf fellowship, college football, these young people, they're changing the narrative. They really, really are. That's my belief anyway.
Yeah, I enjoy watching it. I do let me tell you one story. This happened a few years ago. I think sometimes in some of the negative attention that Tim Tebow got, that's just how it's going to be.
Yes.
If somebody doesn't see it the way that Tim Tebow sees it, they're going to think somehow he's communicating that he's better than me, or that you're only saying that you are grateful to the Lord's work in your life when things go well. And I remember a few years ago, and I've already mentioned him once, but one of my dearest friends, brothers in Christ on the planet is Jonathan Bird. And he won, this was a while back, but he won the John Deere tournament. And I remember after he won John Deere, they put a microphone in his face and he said, I just want to thank the Lord for this today, as I prayed that he would give me peace coming down the stretch. And he was faithful to give me peace. Now, if it stopped right there, that's so much, that's so identical to what we've seen many, many, many times. But then he said this. He goes, but I also missed 3 straight cuts coming into this week. And I prayed that same prayer during those weeks that I missed the cut. And he was faithful to give me peace then too. And I thought that was really, really cool, because it's not about the fact that you win. They just don't put microphones in your face when you finished in the middle of the pack or missed the cut, or sometimes when you lose. But I think what you would see is many of these young men are going to, in fact, the Auburn kicker, I don't know if a couple of weeks ago, I saw an interview with him and I just loved it. And I think he missed a kick and he was still thanking the Lord in the way that he feels led to do it on the field. And I think a lot of people gave him a hard time about that. And he said, look, I am just grateful and I want to give him gratitude and glory if I make a kick or I miss a kick. And I thought that's pretty cool.
Wow. That is cool. And we're seeing it all the time, Stephen. Listen, I'm getting older. I didn't know if you knew that or not, but I'm getting older.
Oh, I need to tell you how I'm not. So I'll talk to you about that later.
But I just, over time, I've seen things with my own kids and now with these modern crop of athletes, because that's the game I'm involved with. on a daily basis. And I just, listen, I see it. I feel it. I sense it. And it's all positive. It really is. You know, Stephen, I didn't feel that way a year ago or 5 years ago, but I do now. So I think that's pretty cool. At least that's my opinion.
Well, I just think that for me, my prayer is that God would continue to do his thing, and it's not in order to make something easier for me. It's just because I truly believe that when Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me," I think that what I have seen, experienced with my own life is that I have found so much fulfillment, so much peace, and so much hope. And the biblical synonym for hope is not wishful thinking. Like you and I want to play golf and it's raining, 80% chance of rain, and we say, "Hey, I hope it doesn't rain." The biblical synonym for the word hope, as it's used biblically, is certainty. And everything that was predicted in the Old Testament that would happen took place. And so, therefore, I really believe that what has been predicted in the future is going to take place. Everything that God has said he would do, he's done. And so it leaves me in with the anticipation of knowing that everything he says will happen will happen. And so I don't have a wishful thinking hope. I know that through God's incredible love, that there is a promise of a new heaven and a new earth. And in that he is going to do his thing. And we even see in the Old Testament book of Joel, there's just a prophecy of God doing exactly what we're seeing. That it says the actual words are he will pour his spirit out. And just that we can take comfort in knowing that he is going to bring those to himself in spite of people like me and people like you. And I could go off into some incredible things that are happening, not just in college football, but around the world. I know you don't have time for it, but we'll do it. You and I can talk about it another time, but it's just, there's some amazing things going on, even though we turn on the news or you open up your social media, Twitter or whatever it's called now, X, you open up these things and you just think, oh my goodness, everything's just falling apart.
Right.
And it's not. And for me, even the people that I may disagree with, and there's a temptation with every algorithm that hits my phone or my laptop that I'm supposed to have some kind of angst toward people that disagree with me. And it couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, what my prayer is constantly is those people that view things so differently, and they may despise me, is that I just want to say, I want to love them, and I want to look at them not as my enemy, but people that just need to hear about the freedom and the acceptance and the love that comes from having a relationship with Jesus. It's not about politics and it's not about sports. It's about something way greater than that.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. That's what it's all about. And that's where we'll end it today. I appreciate it, my friend. Keep up the great work. And I know you're going to go out and play a little golf today. Will you get some birdies for me, please?
I'll try to do it. It's very, very rare that I play when I'm at a tournament, but it just so happens I have a dear friend here that's taking us out to a local course here, and I'm going to get a quick round in, and then I'll be back out at the Sea Island Club, seeing some guys that are coming in town. Usually Mondays are a travel day. Doug, I appreciate your friendship, man. It's always good to see you, and look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Absolutely. I'm sure I'll see you at an Alabama basketball game. I hear they're pretty good despite losing to Purdue. So
they're fun.
I love it.
I saw that you're sponsored by the Pate course.
Yes.
And man, I love Jerry Pate golf courses. They're always fun. He usually throws in a drivable par 4 or 2, and those are super, super fun.
Well, that's, Pete, the great Pete Dye designed it first. And of course, he threw Pete in the pond there to the left of 18 at the stadium course when he won the Players Championship. And so they wanted to bring his company in. And in due respect to Pete, Jerry's changed very little. But, he puts his heart and soul into it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
And I love the guy. I think the world of him. And
he's been great.
I had him on the podcast, and I asked him one question, and it felt like half hour. So I kid because I care.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, well, thanks for having me on.
Thanks,
good,
buddy.
Good being with you.
Thanks, Steve.
Right.
See you.
See you.